So good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Holly Hughes Podcast. Today, I'm really excited to have a conversation with Korean Canadian author Jinwoo Park, who is also someone I've been following on social media for years. I should confess my fangirl. I like to do that when I talk to people. So thank you so much for coming. Your book, The Oxford Soju Club, is releasing in September. So thank you for joining my podcast. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Yeah, just it's a Friday, so that's a good day, right? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I am really excited to talk to all things. So I devour the books you recommend. I've had arguments with Korean people in Korea, Busanians specifically, about one of them about how they liked the representation or didn't. I found that fascinating. I was like, I don't have enough language around that to argue with you, but I will take your. It was the beasts of a.
Yeah, yeah. Beast of a Little Land.
Yes.
Um, I think there is. I think it's probably comes from the fact that, and I don't want this to mean that, it's Um, it's either a slight towards Kim or anything. I think quite a few Koreans have this sense of sort of gatekeeping, where if you're not Korean from Korea, do you really have the right to talk about Korea in that way, right?
Ooh,
And I've
look at
faced this,
no,
yeah,
go ahead.
I've faced this too a little bit myself, and it's just one of those things, and I feel like maybe it could come from that kind of sentiment where I want to think that this is not as credible as maybe if someone from Korea who lives in Korea and who is a Korean national wrote it. I'm actually not sure of Chue's nationality status, whether she's just one or the other, but uh, I think that might be what it is.
I
Um,
think she is
yeah.
married to a Japanese artist and they live in Busan. So it's, oh
Okay.
yeah, it's super. I'm actually interviewing them later, but it's like an interesting mix of she is a keeper of the history of Busan. And I
Right.
met her when I was there about 2 years ago, and she walked us through the parts of Busan that probably tourists don't see at all
Right. Yeah.
and really explained the history of how the Japanese leveled it, right? And how they changed housing and just everything. But there was something about those small shops. My grandfather, one of them was a plumber, right? And he had this small shop and their apartment was above it. And so for me, walking in these places, the smells and the way it looked was very like my normal, like my memory of my own family. So listening to the history was I felt very tied to it. It was very
Okay, I
interesting for
see.
me to be there in that way. But we'll get to that later. I
Yeah.
really want to
But
dig into your book. I want to
yeah,
I want to go because you talk about
of course.
identity a lot, like
Yeah,
all the
of course.
time. And so you even started with that. So I read every part of a book, the forwards, the acknowledgments, all of it, because sometimes that's the fun, juicy stuff that you can understand a book a little deeper. And you, in your letter to the reader, explain and talk about masks and as an immigrant, what masks you wear. And I'm really curious about your journey to from where you were, where you originated from to where you are now. And if there is a mask that you wore that you were maybe too comfortable in, I'm really curious about that.
Right. So I moved to Canada when I was 11, and first I was in BC for until around 2015, and after which we moved to Long Island, actually. So the whole family
Shut
just
up.
upped and went
Wait,
and
wait,
moved to
wait.
Long Island.
I went
Yeah.
to school in DC and I grew up on Long Island. My joke is I don't identify as a New Yorker. That's my big joke.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I spent 2 years of my formative years um, on in Nassau County,
I'm
and
Suffolk, way out.
yeah, it was in many ways very interesting. It was in many ways harrowing, um, and I think that was the part where I really discovered that I had to sort of create identities around myself endure. Because at that time, uh, at that time when I moved to Long Island, it was really hard to make any friends. First of all, the place that we moved to, Jericho, Long Island, yeah, it was, everyone was that, like, everyone was very wealthy. Everyone was driving in with their cars, and everyone had their cliques all set up because I was starting grade 11 by that time. So I spent grade 11 and 12 in Long Island. And so I felt that there is not a place for me here. And I had to sort of make up this. It was ridiculous. I had to make up this Canadian persona because there were, most of the kids there had never seen a Canadian before, whatever Canadian is. And they were like, "Well, you're Asian, but you're Canadian." And I think that was when I really started to sort of make up this idea of like what I think is a Canadian, maple syrup, hockey, that sort of thing. Even though I never played a single minute of hockey in my life. Um, so so it was an interesting time, because that was how I could sort of fit within other people's frame while I was there.
Now I'm
And
imagining you going over
yeah,
the blue line with your hockey stick. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I want to see you
it's
on
like,
the ice now.
yeah, it's an image that has never happened, but it is amusing to me when I think about it because it hasn't happened. And I think, yeah, like the Long Island years went past, and then I went into McGill University, and then uh, that was also another phase of masks where I tried to be this like pre-med kid who
Oh,
who is all about like getting good grades in their sciences, but also like trying to reinvent myself a little, trying to be a little more sociable, trying to be like the popular kid that I couldn't be in high school. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And
just a junior in high school too. So like when you're talking, I'm like, this is crazy. We have these strange parallels. When we moved as a junior, my house burned down as a senior. So like talk about not fitting in. I just like
yeah,
had no place to like anchor at all.
yeah. Yeah, no, so but that's the thing. It's like when you keep moving around like that, like it sort of forces you to like adapt unnaturally and very quickly. And I think that was and when I was in McGill, I basically discovered that there were two sides on campus. So one side was the the Canadian, or like, if we may say this, the whitewashed Asians,
You could say whatever you
right?
want.
Yeah, exactly. So the whitewashed Asians, and then the one side were the Koreans, like the sort of in the culture
You could say the
Asians.
words. You could
Yeah,
say the real words.
there's no real word for it. Like I can't say fob because they weren't fresh off the boat, but they were
Mm.
just basically Asian slash Koreans who just refused to be in like refused to adapt. They
Mm-mm-mm.
were like, we're gonna go to the Korean restaurants. We're gonna go to the few like Korean norebangs that were there in Montreal. Now there's more, but this was back in 2008 and nine. So, and they just refused, like absolutely. They just did not hang out with anyone who didn't speak Korean. And I dipped my toes in both of those groups, and I realized that those two groups had different scripts that I had to play by. So, and that was another sort of like addition to this, to the masks, where I discovered that, oh, like I can completely reject my adopted society and just be Korean in Canada, or I could be like a completely adapted, like like basically my culture has been melted down and sort of into this pot, and now I'm basically just part of the majority, at least sort of in the way I behave and the way I think and all that kind of stuff. Like follow the Canadians or something, the Habs, the hockey team in
So
Montreal, and those
does
kind of
that mean
things.
you wanted to fit in? Like that's So because for me, I never fit in and I was like, just leave me alone. Like I had friends, but it wasn't like
Right.
that. But like I've never moved with a group of people all the time, like those little cliques. I was like, oh, I like you and I like you and I like you. And sometimes everyone would stop talking to me because two cliques would be fighting. Can't trust Holly. She knows both of us. Like that kind of like completely petty thing. Or I got made fun of because I had purple shoes. Really, purple shoes are so fun to wear, right? But I was
Awesome.
always uniquely me, even when it really hurt, even when I
Yeah.
was lonely. So I am like, in listening to you, I'm I'm curious about like you wanted to fit in or you weren't as comfortable in your skin about it, or I'm fascinated by that.
I think it's a bit of both. I always wanted to find a group of my own, because of all the frequent moves. And I was also never quite comfortable back in those days, at least in my own skin. Um, I was often sort of dealing with a worse kind of depression that I that I would have later in life. That makes me feel like really old, but like I mean like later in
I'm
the
much
20s
older
and
than you.
stuff like
Don't worry,
that.
you're fine.
Right. But basically, um, those days were when I was sort of dealing with that sort of like two sides of like I want to fit in somewhere and I just don't want to be myself because I don't know what I am
Hmm.
and I don't like who I am. I feel like I as a person have failed in many different ways and I want to like I was constantly trying to reinvent myself into a more successful version of
Hmm.
as in like what I thought would be a more successful version. So when pre-med ended like in crashed and burned because I actually am terrible at science. I have this episode where I was I was failing biochem and I had this important midterm coming up and I was studying so hard and I was poring over this question for 2 hours. I was like, how do you solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? And then a friend of mine who is excellent, and she is, I think, yeah, she's now like a dentist. And so she definitely deserved to be there at med school and all that kind of stuff. She comes around and she looks at goes, but yeah, this problem, you do this and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't think I can do this anymore. This is a matter of like just I'm just not meant to do this.
Yeah.
This person, my friend over here, she is meant to do this. I am not meant to do this at all. I think that was I and what was more, I broke down crying at that moment because she solved it right then. I was like, oh my god, and then she's like, oh my god, what do I do? What did I do? And then it was a whole episode. But I think I think that was when I realized I have to stop this or I'm going to actually like slowly kill myself doing this. So when I switched out of pre-med, what I did was I sort of reinvented myself as then like a more of like an entrepreneurial person, I think. I think that was when that sort of came out where that was around the time also like when this is 2011 2012, that was when like all this like the hot tech startup stories were coming out and stuff like that, and I thought to myself, maybe that's someone I could be, maybe that's the kind of like path I can
How
follow.
old were you then? Like what? How old?
I was like 20. Yeah, I was like just 20, 21,
Okay,
like
you're
around
still a
that. So it
baby.
was
Yeah.
yeah, so it was and all the people were young, that you were hearing about in the news. So then I thought, okay, maybe that's the kind of person I could reinvent myself into. But at the same time, I had this parallel passion that was happening, which was literature. And this was something that I think back then, this was something that I just naturally gravitated to. But I thought to myself, well, this is a side of things that this is something that just is a very sort of personal thing. It's a passion thing. Doesn't make any money, and so I cannot. There's no real career path in this, right? Like like we all know this. Like the
We know
creative
this story.
part, yeah,
Like that's what my
exactly,
mother said to me. She's like, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I love writing. She's like, how do you make a living as a writer? I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
So when I told my dad that I wanted to be a writer, he took me to the local Indigo. That's basically our Barnes and Noble, and he took me to the local Indigo, and he basically said, um, "Look how many books there are." And I said, "Okay, like how many do you think there are? Like maybe hundreds, thousands? Okay, there like." And then he took me to the stacks, took through the stacks. Not even the front. The front he just kind of went past, and then he took me to the back where there were all these dozens and dozens of like hundreds of titles. How many do you think these sell? Like these books that are way in the back. And by that time I
My
kind of
heart
got
is
his
breaking
point.
right now.
Yeah,
My
I know.
heart is like
By
crushed
that time
right
I
now.
kind of got his point. I was like, okay, I get it. And then he said, these people at least went through the gauntlet of getting published and actually got their books distributed to a major store where it is available to buy. There are levels and levels of people who are not as successful as these people whose books may or may not go out. And that also is like levels and levels of difference between with like all the best selling the best selling shelves, right?
Yeah,
So
like he knew all this. That's like I think being ignorant about that in the beginning is really good. Like,
yeah, I think so. I think that sort of really framed it in this in this way of, okay, I understand it. There is no legitimate path towards making a life, making a living out of writing books, right? And we can make counter arguments because we have them now. But I think at the time, and also still in general, yeah, it is true, right? Like it is very tough in comparison.
and are
And
you
it's
the oldest son? Do you have siblings? You have all of that and your culture, like, and what is viewed as valuable, right? Is like, because like the dentist thing makes sense, the doctor, like, what profession are you going to do?
yeah, exactly. And yeah, like I'm the eldest of two, and
Boom.
I have a younger sister. And so, as the eldest son, as an eldest immigrant son, they were expecting me to do something with something called some. It's okay. So this is like a Korean thing,
Yeah, go for
a
it.
a 사자 job, a 사자
Mm-mm.
job. So and what 사자 직업, what it means is a job that ends with the letter 사, as in 변호사, lawyer,
Yep.
의사, doctor, 검사, like prosecutor or something. Like it's like 사. It has to end in 사. Like so, or like 회계사,
Hmm.
accountant, right? Like so, it had to end in 사. Like you have to get a job in 사. And my parents' view was, and this is something else too, right? Like my parents' view is that, and they still think this is true, is we are in we are in the land of white people,
Mm-hmm.
and that was their view.
Why'd they
The
come?
but
Like,
well,
are they diplomats? Like, you moved to all these places where, like, I'm fascinated. Like, what
I
made them come?
I think in the first place it was to basically, well,
To
it
get
was
you a sa. They wanted to make sure
partly,
you
yeah,
got a sa.
exactly. It was partly to find better educational opportunities for us. They knew how restrictive the Korean education system was, how it sort of squeezes people into this very narrow tube. And I guess, so that was partly why. But I think my dad also had this ambition of like I want to do something, and he feel at the time, right after the IMF crisis of 1997, he decided that, you know what, ability as a like a he I think it was like a bond tradesperson, like so he would like buy and sell bonds
Hmm.
for the government, and then like later privately. And then he thought, okay, I think my abilities in this occupation has its limits now, so I want to look where else elsewhere. And he explored a lot of business opportunities, and he heard that if you buy a small business in Canada, it'll make at least like, a couple 100,000 in profit. And then he was like,
Obviously.
and then and he thought to himself, wow, that's like a much better in than just having a job or like starting a company here, because that kind of money was, at the time, it was just night
Huge.
and day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
he
think to say it still is, by the way. I would like
yeah,
to say that I still think it is, though.
yeah, it is. And I think he made the right moves. He made the right sort of like choices at the right times. So, I'm sure he wouldn't say that it was all due to like his abilities or something. He would definitely acknowledge that there was a lot of luck in his success, in terms of like, like running a gas station or like running an A&W, things like that. And that was the reason why he also moved to Long Island. He actually had there was a deli that he was going to run with a couple partners in Manhattan, so that's why. So, and then he moved back when I got into McGill, and then he would buy another business in BC. So so I think those were those kinds of like ambitions of let's see like if life could be better elsewhere, because he was feeling, I want to say he was feeling constrained while he was in Korea, and then partly also for us too,
And
like
then you
our
had the nerve to
educational,
want to be
yeah,
a writer. No
exactly.
sa.
So he was just
Wait, how do
like,
you say author? I don't know how to say that.
author is 작가.
Taka.
Is a 작가. Yeah, author is a 작가. So,
Ka.
and yeah, there's no sa in there.
I
There's
just added it.
unfortunately
I'll do
작가사.
the bad Holly Korean. Apologies for anyone I'm offending, but my Korean teacher will have a good. He's like, "Oh, Holly, she keep trying." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, 선생님 몰라요."
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Even 선생님 doesn't have a sa. So
Yeah.
it's like, eh, you know, so this is a very narrow
That,
like class
oh
of
my God,
jobs.
that's epic. That is epic.
And like 선생님 is like teachers great. Like teachers are like it's a great profession. And so I think I got the message, from my dad since that day, and I sort of put writing aside as like, okay, this is the thing that I'll go for when I'm older. This is the thing that I'll go for when I'm ready, when my conditions are met, so that I can maybe like drop a few years, uh, and not have to work or something. But I could still feed myself, and if like at the time I have a family like I do now, then I'll be able to support them. So that was what was happening in my head, while I was also pursuing this other thing where like I want to maybe go do business or something. I want to like co-found a business with a couple people that I like and that kind of stuff. Uh so naturally, I don't know why, but because I needed to sort of buy that time. I don't know why, like exactly I took this route, but it was probably also because of due to sort of the lack of knowledge about the world. I was a very sheltered kid until like when I was 20, like 20, even like when I was 25. Because, and this is something else that you might have noticed from, let's say Johan's path in Oxford Soju Club. It says, I always just listened to my dad and my mom, and they always told me like, you just follow what we tell you and it's all going to be fine.
I know. I was
And
fascinated by
yeah,
that part of your book. Like, okay, so it's a spy, not right. The novel's so good, but like, I don't want to spoil anything, right? So I
yeah,
have specific questions not to, but I wanted to kill you at the midpoint. I was like, what? What? Oh my God, brilliant. Called my writing partner. I'm like, my critique partner. I was like, blah, 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 blah. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I just need to say this out loud to someone, blah, 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 blah. She's like, fine. I hung up the phone. And then, but Doksu, oh, he has my heart because the way he finally opens up at the end and all of his opinions, that's all I want to
yeah,
say. I was
yeah.
howling out loud, howling. And I'm an American, so I can laugh at myself, right? So, I was freaking howling. But like I wanted like jump into this thing because you're saying that you couldn't do it. And yet you have an MFA from Oxford. Right. So let's just put like, if you're going to do something, you're going to go big, I'm assuming, because when I read that about you, I was like, oh, he's just so stinking smart. Right. Like, I was like, can I have a conversation with someone who's so academic and knows a lot more words than me? And then when I thought Oxford at first, because this is how my brain works, I am exceedingly unlinear. I was like, oh, Inspector Lewis. I'm like, oh my God, he wrote a spy novel. I was like, oh, I wonder if he ever saw it. Did you ever see Inspector Lewis?
No, no, I know.
It's a BBC show from, I don't
Okay,
even know how old it is, but it's about an inspector in Oxford and they solve
right.
all these murders. And I was like, oh,
Okay,
fun.
I gotta check that out then.
You
Man.
might enjoy,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know your sense of humor yet. Like, so, but it's very English, you know, that
Right. I like English humor. There's a very specific type of humor that it's
It's
like,
very
yeah,
dry, right? It's
yeah,
very
exactly,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but
So how did you get there? How like to me, like when I think MFA, you're like, okay, my dad's not letting business, MFA, gonna kick ass, gonna start creating this book. And again, when I think Oxford, I think of exceedingly buttoned up white people. Why you keep shoving yourself there is what I'm fascinated by. How did you just like find your voice there? Because from what you wrote and what I've read is that people really encouraged you to write this novel there.
yeah. So what happened? Like um my sense of sort of how I was approaching this was this. So I thought to myself, okay, well, I want to buy time to show my parents and prove myself. So I'm going to do something very naturally prestigious, because Koreans are all about prestige. They're all about sort of like, and so Korean parents are almost never against further schooling. So I thought, masters it is. And, and it just never even occurred to me. And this is how much I was sheltered, is that it never occurred to me to just say, I want to go out and get a job. Right. Like I never even thought of that. So I have friends who went out and got like, white collar jobs right out of the gate. And while they were, rising through the ranks, I was sort of toiling away in libraries. I don't know, and I think if I would sort of knew a little better about myself, I would have probably gone like the job route, maybe like joined like a management consultancy or something like that. Uh,
Not your path, man. Not
yeah,
your
I
path.
know. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're
No, no,
saying that, I can't even breathe. Like my
I
breathing's
know.
getting shallow. I'm like, oh, that sounds
Yeah,
awful.
I cannot imagine myself in like McKinsey or something. But it's like, eh, so the way I framed it was, I'm gonna do something that I want to do, and I'm going to do something that's gonna help my career. And then and and that was like also, part of the whole like entrepreneurial thing. Like I want to go somewhere where I can sort of figure that kind of thing out about myself. So I applied to London School of Economics, and then I applied to Oxford for creative writing. And
I mean, come on, everybody
yeah,
does.
exactly. So, and then I got into both programs. And because Oxford had this option to do, there was like a low residency program. So I sort of looked at the coursework and the timelines, and I thought to myself, I'm going to do both at the same time. And then it was absolute insanity, actually. I would bus like like after my classes were done during the week, like in London, I would bus from London to Oxford. It takes about like an hour and a half, like one way. So I would bus in there and just like, do like assignments with my classmates in Oxford, or like, come in for like lectures and seminars and that kind of stuff whenever they happened. So it was a hectic time, but it was also it was a very blissful time, because I think this was when I could really 100% focus on what I wanted to do. And the kind of, I'm a huge economics nerd as well. So like my time at LSE was also just all sorts of um all sorts of just wonderful exploration. But I think this is also where I learned that I am not the kind of person who just like I'm not a smarty pants. Like I am not someone who goes and I'm
Mm,
not. Yeah,
really?
but yeah,
Ever. Okay. If
I
you
think
can look down on yourself, I won't let you. Just like I don't understand what you're even saying. Okay, I did a semester abroad in London. I really wanted to go to Spain, but I knew a girl who got to Spain and started sleeping with the son of the person. I was like, that's a messy situation, man. I'm not going there. Oh, and
That's a
exceedingly
novel.
sheltered and exceedingly insecure. I was so insecure when I was younger, again, because I never felt like I fit either. So I was like, oh, London, woohoo. But I lived like in Golders Green. Do you know, like North London? It took me like almost like 40 minutes to walk to the tube and then
Right.
45
Yeah.
minutes to get to
Yeah.
it. Like, I was
Yeah.
like,
I know
whatever.
this. Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy. In the 90s, though, it was probably very different than when you were
Probably,
there.
yeah, very different kind of London. But I think what I mean by like smarty pants was that I was not the kind of person who could sort of pursue like intellectual perfection of any
Okay.
kind, and the institutions I was at demanded intellectual perfection. So, so one example is I just can't help but be myself in many cases. So there was a seminar. It was like a film critique seminar at Oxford, and then like it was our cohort was in there with our lecturer, and yeah, they were talking about like like film, like there it was something about film. I can't remember now, but what I do distinctly remember was when it came time for me to speak, I talked about everyone was like doing super artsy films, I think, and doing all this like complex analysis. And when it came time to me, I just blurted out, well, I really like Raid too. Because I love Raid too. Like it's like it is the most excellent martial arts film. I love martial arts film. I just love looking at the choreography and just
Get
looking at
that.
like,
I
yeah, it's just
totally
like,
get
oh,
that.
he blocks that with this, and then oh my god, like that's it's just I love it. And then I realized, oh crap, like I need to now justify Raid too. Like I need to justify the artistic merit of Raid too. So
Yeah.
I said all this bullshit,
Yeah. They
really.
loved it.
And then no,
Well,
they were like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I realized, oh, I should have just honestly said, I just like the martial arts moves because that's what it was, right? Like
no, I
there's no
get. Look,
like,
I worked in
yeah,
film and TV for 18 years. I was in LA. I was on sets. I was doing it. You know what we hate? Film students. Oh my God, shut up. Because we want you. We want you who like appreciates it because you're not, your first job on set is a production assistant. Shut up and pick up the trash. Shut up and go pick. Like, we don't care about what your esoteric thought is. Like, you know what? That didn't actually happen on set. What happened was they run out of time and they had like this person for one more minute and then they had to get the shot. So like everything that you think was happening wasn't actually happening.
yeah.
So I
So
love that. That is
yeah,
totally what your book is like, though. Your book
it
is fast.
it's kind of, and I think that's what I also wanted to do with the book, where like I don't want to sort of dwell in the kind of like introspection that a lot of other books have, if of this kind, where like diaspora immigrant life. I wanted to do the introspection, but I wanted to do I or that kind of reflection, but I wanted to do it in a way that I thought was fun, that I thought was engaging. I didn't want it to be like the thing that I don't like about a lot of immigrant books that are that come out of the market is that it somehow turns into like commiseration porn, like,
No,
and
no. I have
yeah,
a problem with I don't know Canadian, but American publishing, which probably since I'm doing creative podcast, maybe isn't the smartest thing to say, but I have my own little hiccups in my own experience of that. And in that they think having a diverse background of writers means that your story has to be this. No, it doesn't. It is my experience of a whole person who's telling this story that makes it good, not that my story has to be what you think my story is.
yeah,
I don't know how to get past that. It makes me wildly annoyed. Can you
yeah,
tell? Like I get like
yeah.
I'm leaning in. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
is
Yeah, I
that?
could tell. Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's like I was always kind of in, and then whenever I would encounter a book that really had a good narrative, a like good set of characters who really just grabbed you from the start, and that was when I realized this is the kind of book. So for instance, when Viet Thanh Nguyen wrote The Sympathizer, I thought to myself, this is the kind of book I want to write.
Mm.
This is exactly it. Like this just has everything. And or like Min Jin Lee's Pachenko, or even
That
like
book,
Drake.
oh,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
can't.
it's just it's amazing. These books are brilliant. These
What
books
those
have
people go through,
everything.
I
Yeah,
can't. It's so heartbreaking for me.
and it's like, and there's the thing is, like, there's also like not just meaning in terms of like the exploration of the themes, but there's also like narrative meaning to it, right? The fun of a lot of books come from where the plot's going, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Like where like the introspection and the reflections and all the thematic explorations, those things are something that I consider them as non-essential parts of a book that make a book that elevate it if it's done well. But the essential part of a book is that it needs to grab you and convince you to finish it. And not in a way where like, oh, I have to finish this. It's more like,
Yeah.
I have got to get through this thing
That's how
because
I
I
felt reading it.
cannot.
I
Yeah,
gobbled yours. I left you like I
thank
should
you.
confess. I gobbled it. I left a really good review, and I'm not that nice. No, that's like because I read enough. So like when something really grabs me, it really grabs me. And actually at one point, I call my husband man candy. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not done yet." Like I have to like he's like, "Aren't you?" I'm like, "Not done." He's like, "How many pages did you read?" I'm like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "How'd you do that?" I was like, "You don't understand." And then I got mad at you when something happens that I can't describe. And then I was like, that was fucking brilliant. That was brilliant because, what's the make it worse, right? As a writer, make it worse, make it harder, mess with your, like, kill your darlings literally sometimes, right? You're just like, oh, he didn't. I was like, oh, he did. And because my image of you, like on social media is, smart and the way you describe things, you're always very educational, but really you're witty and funny and like fast, right? So especially now I'm getting to know like that lighter, I would call it lighter side, right? Like that
Yeah,
other
more
part of
casual
you,
side. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
the part of you that you like to keep private, but like I'm going to have to open that up to the world. But
yeah. Of course.
that's the whole point
Yeah,
is like it's that part, like because when I hear you talking about the Oxford Soju Club, let's say the title 100 times, I want everyone to go read it. It is, it's probably going to surprise you, right? You have, as someone who's been to Korea and loves the culture and is fascinated by it, and I just keep diving into the history of it while I'm reading it and I'm hearing the food. And I'm like, for me, it's like visiting places I'd been to. So, like, I felt a connection, but I don't think you need to have any of that to enjoy it. I do love how you're always talking about like the identity, like how we talked about like the masks, and you have one of my favorite lines from the professor is like, I never felt at home back in my own country. It's a funny thing to be told that you belong somewhere and you feel nothing for it, because I think everyone at some point in their life they're in a situation or a place that should be home and they're not comfortable. And that's universal. It doesn't matter whoever you are, or however you define yourself. I think that is a universal theme. And it's something I'm finding in all my conversations with creative people is this like, where do I belong?
yeah,
And like looking to find it. Okay, so
yeah.
you're in Oxford, you're double majoring, you're going to solve the world's problems because your parents expect it. And you're like, nah, man, spy novel because this
Yeah,
show was good. This one was good.
yeah. So, oh, first of all, very grateful for your comments about the book. And second, yeah, I mean, I think also, I so as I was talking about like the whole film class and everything, this is where I started to feel this jarring sense of, and this also happened in at LSE too. We would be in a seminar, and I would just say the darnest thing, and they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about? That's not." And then I just say, "Well, it's something I saw on the news." And it's like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no.
I'm that kind
You
of
have
person. This is what I do all the time.
like." I think that's when I realized that there was a bit of distance between like how uh, the the institution wanted me to be and then how I was. Because at the time I was also kind of considering like, should I do like a PhD? Like, is that a path for me? Once again, like constantly searching, right? Like I
You
have
should have
no
known
idea
me. I called
what's
you. I'm
happening.
slightly psychic. Be like, nah, man, just start writing. Just start
Yeah, exactly.
writing.
Yeah,
Could you
yeah.
get to writing now, please? We're waiting.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that I should have done. But I didn't, and a lot of but at the time I got through a lot of these difficulties, through my friends, and we, like many of them who also felt a little distant from the institution or like the demands of the intellectual demands of the institution. And when I say demands, it's not the rigor of how it was, it's more like, the framework of what they wanted to, like how the what frames they wanted to put on us
Hmm.
exactly, and how we should think about things. So so in that sense, I think, it was also that in itself was also very good education, because that's sort of how I began to, realize that I need to start thinking for myself, and I need to really start developing that muscle of taking in information and then molding it into something that I can now put out into the world instead of just kind of like taking it in and then just regurgitating it back out,
Mhm.
right? So, and then because that was how I was interacting with a lot of information at the time. That partly because my parents were always like, you that's how it works, and also because they were more the way they raised me was more in line with that kind of learning where like we tell you to do something, you go do
You do
exactly
it.
that, right? Like we tell you to go to med school, you do it. And I didn't, right?
I would have
So
failed out of that one too. My dad's a
oh my
chemical
god.
engineer. I have a strange affinity for that, like the process of it. But then it gets to that higher math, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, man, I can't do
Blank.
that.
Just what? It's just
That's exactly. It's like
it just all
no.
escapes to the ether. I
No.
can't help it. And I think that's these were this like I was 25 when I completed all my master's training, and around that time was really when I was starting to come in, like starting to find my own stride as a person. And yeah, like in Oxford was when I was first conceiving the ideas for this book. um it started as a very juvenile thing. I don't know if you heard about it, but or if I talked about it, but
No, share, share.
yeah.
Give it.
It was basically, it was like, I think when I first thought about it, it was like I was walking around Oxford and I thought to myself, you know what? You want to be cool to look at? A car chase in these streets. And then and then I made like this whole, like, it was basically Rush Hour, but in Oxford.
I love it.
And I made this whole like novel concept of like, it's a North Korean spy and a South Korean spy, but they must work together. They must forego these differences. They must work together to recover a rogue scientist's nuclear briefcase. And then,
Obviously.
yep, and then there's also a little girl that they have to save because there's always is,
Because she
and they're
dropped
gonna
her orange and it rolled into the middle of the cobblestone street.
exactly, yeah. And then there's a car coming. Oh my god. And then it's just like, and then now there's like there's a square called Wellington Square. It's just like a road goes around in circle in front of our old like faculty building. And I was just thinking, and then now they'll be in two SUVs riddling each other with bullets while doing donuts and drifts
I would
around the
like to
square.
say that's
Like,
terribly American. I just
yeah, I
say
know. It's
like,
like this was so, and it was just like it was the worst, like like
it's all the
Amazon
cliches,
Prime
but you got to
original
do it.
action
It's
movie.
okay. Because you know what? They're fun too. They're
Yeah,
fun
exactly.
too.
I was like, and it was this book, this version of the book that I first wrote when I worked on Oxford Soju Club, like back in when I worked on the first draft in 2018. So between 2015 and 2018, so between when I graduated master's and then between 2018, what happened was that a series of things happened. So first is that I tried to run the family gas station for about like 8 months.
I don't think you have an affinity for that. Sorry.
And then, yeah, I discovered that and I was like, yeah, I want to get out of here. So then what I did after that was I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, who is now the mother of my son, our son, and she basically was like, "Listen, we've been doing this long distance enough, like because we had been dating since when I was in my last year of McGill."
Wow, she's
So she,
patient.
yeah, so she was like, "Listen, it's either you move here this year or it's like we just stop." So
Yeah.
I thought to myself, okay, well, I don't want to. It feels wrong to at least not try
Mhm.
to be with you properly. And then I
Do
also
not
was,
like that phrase at all. That's just shit or get off the pot is what my
yeah,
family would
yeah,
say. It's
I
like
know.
commit or go away, one or the
Yeah,
other.
I know how it sounds, but it's also at the time I was like, like I cannot see myself without, like, just sort of with another person, and I really really want to sort of like try to make it work.
And how
So
old are you
so
then?
I
27?
was I was like 26.
Yeah, okay.
So I was 26. So I moved in, and then for about a year or and a half maybe, I did this thing where I co-founded a a publishing company with a couple friends where the gimmick was that it was an ebook company, but except buying the books, you buy the chapters. So you
Yeah.
buy each
Basically
chapter for like
Substack.
25 cents. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's like 25 cents and stuff like that. And then, so yeah, we basically like split up a bunch of ebooks and then like try to sell them by chapters. Did not work at all. Apparently, this is a terrible concept, at the time at least. And we just crashed and burned once again, like many startups do.
You need to put
Uh,
more of your humor in your books. You're funny.
but that's like,
I find you very funny. I don't know if that's me. You're like you're funny.
well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna have to
I
ask you when
appreciate
your
that.
birthday
Yeah.
is, but you don't want to put that on thing. Because like now I'm like I gotta know your birth sign. Like that's on my thing.
Oh my God. Uh, You know, my birthday is on my TikTok ID, right? Like,
Is it? I don't stalk people like that.
it's yeah, it's all over the place. 0721. It is,
Oh, it was just your
yes.
birthday. Oh
July
yeah, I knew
21st.
that because
Yeah.
that other thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
yeah. It's
But
all
you're
over the
cuspy.
place.
Now you're like cuspy Cancer Leo. You're way more Leo. Okay, I feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Cancer, but I'm on the cusp of Leo, so I feel like I have a little bit of both sides. I
Nah, you're
like,
way
yeah.
more Leo. I
Okay.
mean, cancers are really good money makers, but I this is what I warn women about Leo men. I'll just share it because I can. It's like when a Leo man looks at you, you're the only person in the room. You have this ability to like shine a light of someone, make them feel good. The problem is when they turn their head and they look at the next person, all that light comes with them. So
Right.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't handle that. I would be way too like insecure and jealous, honestly.
Mm. I
Even though
mean,
I'm a grown
yeah.
ass woman who's been married for 22 years. That would be like my thing. Like, no, that doesn't work for me. Yeah. Now I might have to like do your star stuff because that's my woo woo, but I'm like,
Okay.
that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fascinating.
Would
Okay.
love that.
Sorry.
But yeah, like I guess so then after that happened, everyone, all the people involved in that company, so my friends, we all went and got jobs. And I went into this company I went into this like, tech company in Montreal as a copywriter slash public relations person.
Mm,
And this was an interesting time because this was a how do I say this? An adult content company.
okay.
Yeah, and it was basically, you know what cam girls are, right? Like, so
I appreciate you asking though.
yeah,
Thanks.
so yeah, it's just making sure.
Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
walls
so
are
this
married. It's
was
all good. It's all good.
this was before OnlyFans, but this company was doing some basically they were doing the proto OnlyFans thing, which was like they were selling clips that cam girls had recorded of themselves, to, like people who wanted to buy their content
Enough
clips.
said. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was basically like the
Yeah, yeah.
cam girls were recycling their live stream into clips, and then they were selling them.
Smart. I bet that's a
And
moneymaker.
yeah, it was, and this company was spending money left and right. And so I did some interesting things back then at this company. Like I was like pitching the company, as a public relations person. I learned how to like pitch something right. So like I managed to somehow get this company's name mentioned in like Vice and like
Wow.
BuzzFeed, like Men's Health. Like it was kind of ridiculous. I was like making all these concepts. Like, what if we say like we talk about this topic? Like that could be an interesting angle, right? Like even though we're like a porn company, like please. And some journalists found that credible. So so that's where yeah, exactly. So
No, I worked on like I call them Red Shoe Diary ripoffs. So like again, we have this strange parallel. So I produced, I don't know, I guess it would be NC-17 nowadays, kind of stuff back in the day. I made a lot of money. I think like what creative people do, like you can do whatever it is to like make money. We're not going to judge it, so you can get to doing what you really want to do. That's
exactly.
part of
Yeah.
being an adult.
Yeah. So that happened, and then I moved on from that firm to another firm that I
Long
thought was
form.
like uh to no. This was a this was a music software company.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it was, I thought in many ways, I thought it was an upgrade from where I was in terms of like the position and the salary and everything.
I'm just going like, what? No. Okay, keep going. I'm like, my brain is like all in bad places now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like it also it's just the trajectory is all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like
It's
like
linear, man. I don't
yeah,
go in a straight
yeah.
line. It is actually because it's still creative. You're making the context. You're actually practicing writing. You're doing all the
Right.
things. You learn how to pitch. This is all part of the process of getting a book and doing it. Besides actually
Exactly.
putting words on the page, you got to do the
Yeah.
business side.
Exactly. So I consider these experiences to be an important part of my training, let's
Did
say.
your parents know what you were actually doing, or did you give it a different name?
I just gave it a different name.
Okay,
I
that's
was
what I
just
thought.
like it's a content company. It's a content distribution system maker. But like this firm had literally like dozens of people on their tech team, and everyone had porn on their screens.
All day.
It was a wild time. I was like, I would pass by a one of the like the graphic designers, and I just asked him like he just had this big old butthole on the screen all day. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm trying to we got to bleach this butthole.
I knew
And
that. I knew that was coming. Wait,
and
but you were living with your girlfriend at the time? She was your
yeah,
girl?
yeah.
Excellent. I'm so happy for her.
It was just like and I'm like, oh, you got like it takes that long? It's like, well, and he basically just told me like, well, there's a lot of touch ups, you know. These kinds of things would happen constantly. I just thought to myself, this is a wild place. But it was a lot of fun too, and they had a lot of good like, oh man, like company welfare was so good. Like we had free lunches every day, and that kind of stuff. So there were perks for sure. And but you know, I decided to move on because I discovered that once you kind of get into the like adult content sort of industry, like especially in this kind of like corporate setting, you kind of have to move laterally
Hmm.
next time when you if you stay in a little too long because you build up a portfolio that you can't really show
Yeah,
too
I get
readily
it. I
to
get
people.
it.
So I thought to myself, okay, I want to try something else, and I went into this music software company in Montreal, and I it was a big pay bump, and it was a big like sort of like a move upward. And then I got laid off in 3 months, and that really like shot me down. That was my first layoff of my life, and then after which I would like experience many layoffs later on. But this was the first one, and then it sort of got me into this like more introspective place where I thought to myself, wait a minute, like what am I even doing in this? Like what am I even doing? Do I want to be like Jinwoo Park content specialist, blog writer, like you know, like SEO
Yeah.
consultant in 20
No.
years, or do I want to be Jinwoo Park the writer? Like what do I want to do?
Author.
Exactly. Yeah. So I that's when I decided that I need to sort of work out my fiction chops again. And by that time, I hadn't written any fiction in like 2 years since I had graduated, like or more than that actually, 3 years. And I and I just went into it. I just wrote anything. I this is a time there are like couple books that were used as like my like find my
Yeah, stepping stone.
writing mojo again
Yeah.
books. And then I thought to myself, okay, now I want to write something like something more fun and something that I've been thinking about, and that's where Oxford Soju Club came in. And then I sort of I wrote that whole draft, that first draft in NaNoWriMo in 2018. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
That's
So
impressive.
yeah, so that
I
was
can never
like,
make it through a whole NaNoWriMo.
oh yeah, no, I know it's so hard. It's like you think you have the time. It's like nope.
It's like
Now I
life.
have to write like 20,000 words in a week. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's brutal. My friends are like,
So
"You're not doing it." I'm like, "I'm thinking about it the whole month. I'm just thinking
yeah,
about
exactly.
it."
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I did 100 words today. But
Actually did almost 800 before we started talking today. I was kind of excited about that.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos. Yeah,
Thanks.
that's good amount of words actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Not
you know,
bad.
the pace that NaNoWriMo
It's
asks for is
insane.
actually insane. So, yeah. But I wrote that, and then I it was like just pure pleasure. Like it was not I wasn't even thinking about like will this get published. It was so cliched, things just didn't make sense.
First draft.
But exactly,
A
like it was
beautiful
like
first draft.
for some reason, and I think I read it again, and I was like, for some reason, this character is in actually in 3 different places at once when I think about the timeline, and that makes no sense. But whatever, it's first draft. I had fun with it. And then I realized once I wrote it, right? Like once I wrote all the car chases, the shootouts, the like I was thinking like, oh my God, like this many bullets and no cops are showing up? Okay. Well that I mean, I don't really care. So it's it's Oxford, UK, like some
No
police
guns.
will be showing up. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yep, it's just machine guns everywhere. And after I had my fun, I realized, oh, there's actually a story here that I really do want to tell. There's a story here about immigrants, diaspora, like the masks you wear, the spy games,
Your
the
MFA came
espionage we
out.
play.
Your
Yeah,
MFA
exactly.
got layered into your fun
Yeah,
blow it up stuff.
yeah. So like, yeah, that's where it kind of came in, where like my more literary training sort of kicked in, and I thought to myself, this like it feels like all this espionage reflects how I felt as an immigrant boy going from place to place. It really feels like these characters sort of reflect me in many ways, and that's when I started to think that there was something that I could actually like tell
Mm.
as a proper, not a proper, but like as something that I feel as something a lot more polished, something a little more that is me, and not just like not just a passing action flick, I
Mhm.
guess. So I rewrote it 3 times until until it got picked up by a publisher. And that was actually
That's pretty
like through,
fast.
yeah, through TikTok. It wasn't it.
Like,
I like
how many agents did you query?
I queried to about like 80 agents,
Okay, that's pretty
and
good.
then none of them answered. So the
They were
timeline
all
for the
wrong. Did you keep their
yeah,
names? Be
I know.
like, you were wrong, wrong, wrong.
I mean, the thing with agents is that like you just never know, and then like they always probably get like a plenty of slush pile to go through anyway. So I thought that was kind of like I give my shot. The problem with agents is that once you query them once, it's you kind of burned your chance. And my issue at the time, going towards the end of that list, about 100 or so, because I had also like handpicked out like
Of
agents that I
course.
think would be good for me,
We
and there
can
was about
compare
100.
spreadsheets.
Yeah,
Did you have a guy had a spreadsheet with color
I
coded and like what
yeah,
day
it's
I
like
sent it and
yeah,
did I hear
exactly. Like, did
back?
I
Yeah, yeah,
follow up, or
yeah.
like should I follow up? Like, what are
No,
the rules of that like
don't follow
agent?
up.
Yeah, no, never follow
I
up. Right, like
accidentally sent there was one agency I had sent to, and it said if a no from one is a no from all of us, and that pissed me off so bad
right.
that I
Yeah,
realized I had accidentally sent it to 2, and I was like, "It's an automatic no, so they won't even read it." So then I
right.
spammed them. I mean, I know I was being really petty, but at that point I was pretty
Yeah,
burned
I know.
out in the
It's like
process. I was like, "It's all going to their, like, AI, it's getting weeded out anyway, so it's fine."
it's so easy to just be resentful at the process. It's like,
It really is.
oh, you
Which
know
is why
what?
you have writer friends. So you could be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, Jinwoo, so I fucked up and now I think that's unfair. I need to go cry. How about some soju? Let's go.
yeah.
Let's go."
Or like or even better if you can just be like, hey, yeah. So what do I do now? You know.
No, I don't. I think next. I think I queried. I had 2 books. My first book, probably looking back on it, really probably needed another pass before I queried. I just didn't know that yet. Had my other one. I had 7 R&Rs, 7, and then their answer back was always like, "Great writing, great storytelling. I don't know how to sell it." So I'm thinking, why'd you put me through the exercise if I could take your notes? You wasted so much of my time and my heartbreak. I had 2 phone calls, even 2 phone calls. And during the phone calls, they're like, "You're great. Don't know how to sell it." You
Yeah,
scheduled a phone call with me and you're
that
blowing me off. I was like, again, part of why traditional publishing versus self-publishing, depending on what level you do it, is very like, I'm so glad that you are traditionally published so we can like get you everywhere. But I'm in a place in my life where I'm like, I don't understand the industry and I don't feel all that aligned with it. And I don't know what to do with that. And now I'm switching from, I write magical realism, which is part of why
okay,
I
love that.
love Korean fiction, honestly. And they're whatever, and I write memoirs. So like it's my agent would not cover both. So I'm like,
Okay. Right. I think on that note, it, I think I still don't know how publishing works. So the timeline for this book was 2018. I wrote the first draft. 2 rewrites later, I applied to a Emerging Writers Award from the Asian
mm,
Canadian Writers Workshop, and that was 2020. And then in 2021, I get the news that like I got the award, and I was like, "What? How? Okay, but sure." And then I got the award, and I was like 2021. So I thought, okay, this is the third draft, like the third version of it, and I guess it's got some legs. So I'm gonna go out and pitch it, and I queried it, and then it didn't get anywhere. So that I burned about like list of 50 people by that time,
they don't
around that time.
remember, you know,
Yeah,
they don't remember. I'm
no, no,
friends with an agent. They don't remember. They don't know
nobody.
your name. It's
There,
fine.
there's so many, right? So you're just seeing blurs going by, and it's like, and then so okay, I need to improve this. So I rewrote it twice.
Are you
Uh,
mad during your rewrite? Or you're like, I'm going to make it better. Or you're like, I got to make it better. Like which part of your personality shows up?
I think it's more like I think it's more like I really want to make this like I want to really improve this, right? Like I want to like make this be, so I try to be more reasonable. I try to
Okay.
be more sort of like rational in the sense of like what do other people think? Let me take some feedback. So this is the phase when I would like show it to other people and just like, well, does this work? Does this scene work? Is this too slow? Is this too fast? And I'm very grateful for many people who gave me those feedbacks. Um Around this time I go out into, so around like 20, I think like 2022, like mid 2022, I also go out and query again, and I get like a manuscript, like a full manuscript request back from this one agent who's actually like, and this is the first lesson that I learned, which is your connections, everything is by your connections. The
Yep.
slush pile is just like, this is the fool's like the fool's entrance. The referral is where it is, because the full manuscript request was came from a mentor of mine who lives in Vancouver, and it was her agent.
Oh.
She was like, I'm
You
gonna,
got lucky.
yeah,
That
I
was
know.
nice. That was
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And I got the full manuscript request, and then I think yeah, so by this time it is, yeah, so I rewrote it once actually. So this is like the fourth version.
Hmm.
And then she rejected it, but she told me, listen, like, you have a potential as with the for a writing career. What's your next book? And I told her what my next book was, so which is something that I'm working on. And then I was like, and then
What's your
she said,
deadline? When is that? You have 2 years, another year? Are you going one after the other? Get a 2 book deal? These are all the things I also want to know.
no, I don't. Yeah, well, with Dundurn, it was a single book deal, and I
Okay.
did it myself before any agent, before Safa, my current agent, came in. But at the time, this second book was something that I was actively working on too, alongside the improving the first book. And I told her the concept, and I told her what was happening, and she's like, "Go with that book as your debut, not Oxford Soju Club. The Oxford
Oh.
Soju Club, it like I think she was also of the same opinion. Like I don't know how to sell it.
Hmm.
And she advised me to sort of go with my second book as like my debut. So I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should do that then. So, but then I still sort of kept improving Oxford Soju Club based on some feedback, and I went through another rewrite, and then I burned through like, yeah, 30 more names on my query
You're
list, and
not
then
burning. You just got that's part of the process. I think
I
anyone
know,
who
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
think you're going to query about 100 agents overall, I
yeah,
think someone's lying to you or they have that
right.
in.
Yeah. And then I thought to myself, okay, I got like a list of like 20 names left. And like I cannot fail. So I keep trying to make it like really good. But in the back of my mind, the agent sort of advice was always kind of like in like, kind of echoing around. So I thought to myself, you know what, maybe just by the queries going, like it's not really making sense for me, I guess, like to just pushing Oxford Soju Club when there was good signal on this other book that I'm working on, which I also love too. So I was working on that, but then So around this time when I'm sort of thinking about putting Oxford Soju Club into the drawer is 2023, because the agent's advice was it can come out later, right? Oxford Social Club could be your sophomore
Yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like after you've had your
So
big
you won't have
debut.
the slump.
Exactly.
Actually, a lot of authors do that. It's usually their second or third book that gets published first, and then they go back to older content so they can have a little bit more time to write the new stuff.
Exactly. So that was what the advice was. So I was about to put it in, and this is about like summer 2023, and this is about a year into my like also like TikTok content creating, like talking about books and like Korea
No,
and
I
stuff
know
like
I was
that.
there. You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fed
yeah.
me
So you would
many,
know.
many books,
So
many
you would know.
books.
Yeah, I have cratered many people's bank accounts with just books.
You have. And
But
by the
yeah,
way, they're not anything like your book. They're utterly and completely different. That's why when I
yeah,
was reading your book, I was like, "What? What is going? What?" Like, yeah. Anyway, again, go read it, people, because you'll see. You'll see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you got to read it to know it, right? But yeah. So around that time, uh, uh, Julia Kim, my editor, the editor who edited this book, she was the editor at Dundurn Press at the time in 2023 July, and she was like looking at my videos too, like especially like also the BTS lyric stuff and all that kind of stuff. And she basically DM'd me on TikTok and said, "I'm an editor at Dundurn. You say on your website that you have a book. I read the sample. I like it. Show
Shut
me the whole
up.
thing." And then I thought to myself, okay, this is so random. And once again, huge stroke of fortune, right? Like huge stroke of fortune. And so I showed her the book, and she said, okay, there's a lot here that needs to be improved. And later on, she would tell me she understood why agents had turned it down, because she was like, your beginning is way too chock full of like all these like really slow passages.
Oh, I
And
can't
then
imagine that now that I read it, right?
yeah,
There's none
yeah,
of that
no,
there, right?
the a lot of, I have to really thank Julia in that sense, because a lot of what you see that is very fast paced but like to the point, very efficient, is her. A lot of it is her contribution, and her sort of guidance of like, you need to delete this and then you need to rewrite something here. So
So are you like
under
writing your way into the story a lot in the beginning? Like I suffer from
yeah,
that. I usually
exactly,
delete my first 25 pages. I do. I
exactly,
was like,
yeah.
okay, end.
Or like I would just kind of like make these two characters go to like a park somewhere, and then just they will talk for like 20 pages about nothing. And things like that. Like it
Sometimes
was,
I just put a person alone in the room. I was like, no, Holly, you can't write a book like that. It doesn't
yeah.
work. So
How about a 10-page monologue? Um
I want those
and
pages. You just sent them to
exactly,
me personally.
you
I
like the
want them.
pages, but it's like, yeah, I can understand why someone wouldn't read these. But I was going through those, and then so she worked with me before she went to Dundurn's publishing board, because Julia was at the time, I think, one of two Korean Canadian editors in Canada in working in publishing. Um, so she basically, all she wanted was, I gotta find me a Korean Canadian author,
Thank
and
God.
she was hell bent on that being me, because she was like, I found somebody. It
Yeah.
was that rare at the time, apparently, to come across a Korean Canadian author, like a fiction author. And I think now a lot more people are encouraged, which is great. But back then, I think it was much more of a like a rare thing. So she was like, she spotted me. This book has potential, man. I'm gonna like crawl through whatever it takes to get you published. So we worked together
She's
for
an
like,
editorial agent. We should talk about that, right? Like I know I not can't talk about everything, but it's like there are some agents, which was probably why you were passed, who aren't that way. But someone who believed in your voice and your work will take the time to like help create what can sell.
exactly.
And then you have to decide if you're going to sell your soul to do it. But that's like a
Yeah,
whole other.
exactly. Yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? So, but then,
We got Dokevi out there for that. I'm
yeah.
just saying.
So this is why, I mean, she's an agent now. She's not an editor anymore. She's an agent now, but she does have that, like, she still brings that editorial eye. She worked on the book with me. Well, she basically like, sort of gave me all this feedback, and I would sort of like write or like revise or delete a lot of these. Yeah, when I that book got reduced from like 110,000 words to around like 80,000 words.
Oh,
And then
you
a
wrote
lot of it also a
long.
lot of it like was rewritten as well.
Mm.
And then she was like, "Okay, we are now ready to present to the publishing board." So it got presented, and then she really just vouched for it, and then it was yeah, I got the publishing deal that same year in December. And like it was just so serendipitous. The whole thing was just so serendipitous that I felt like um it was I felt a little whiplashed during the time.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's a
but
good way to
looking
get whiplash. It's so
yeah,
rare.
I know. But looking back, I think it was very fortunate that this book finally found the right mentor, because that's who I consider Juliet to be. Like she's my mentor, and she really showed me. Because then she also worked on the developmental edits with me, because as
Hmm.
the editor of Dunder, and cut further 20,000 words, and the book just flew. Like it just read much better, and I realized, oh wow, like I'm I have to realize sometimes that I'm too much in love with my own words, that I don't
Mm.
see that they don't belong. And that, yeah, and that was
That's like a
a
big
really
learning moment for an author. It's like,
exactly. It
oh.
was it was a huge learning moment. I was like, oh my god, like this is how you can be objective about your writing. So she taught me that a lot, and so I'm very thankful for her for that. She's not with Dunder anymore, and she went on to become an agent. And then the June of 2024, this is when I'm more also like focusing on my starting out on my like literary translation career. I hear from so
Hmm.
Anton Her.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
sort of met him in December of
Lucky, whatever.
2023. I know. I love the guy. I know, right? Like
I'm
it's
just like,
just it's just
I'm
it's
trying
like
not to be
it all
jealous, but I
it
don't
all
think it's
kind of
that
like
good.
connects, right?
Whatever.
Like so the person who introduced me to Anton was Janet Hong. Janet Hong is the one who introduced me to the agent who did the full manuscript request, but sort of declined in the end. She okay, so the first button with Janet Hong is also really weird too. Her mom, so my mom is retired.
Okay. And
Like
what did she
they
do? Did she
uh
also run the gas station, or did she have
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
own?
So she would
Or is
also
she a
run the gas
job? What's
station,
like
and yeah,
whatever? She's like the
yeah.
accountant, doctor,
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly. Yeah, she was like doing all the bookkeeping, and she was also like like
running
serving like
everything, right?
yeah
Yeah.
like serving burgers at the A&W side of the gas station, because
Now
we had
you're
like a
making me
drive through and
hungry, but
everything.
it's okay.
I know,
But
but
I eat burgers now with samjam. It's very weird. My husband's like, enough of that. I'm like,
oh
no,
my
it's
god, but
good.
sometimes like a universal sauce. Like, come
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
sometimes
you.
a universal sauce. So, but yeah, so my mom's retired because like at some point they were like, you know what, like we've made enough money.
Hmm.
We're now just gonna enjoy it for the rest of our life. So they retired. My mom goes to the same like country club as Janet Hong's mom. And then they talked, and they were like, "Oh, your son's a like an aspiring writer. Well, my daughter is like a like a literary translator and is also like looking to write. So maybe they can like chat." And then yeah, that's
Okay, we
how
call
that's how
that
that
Jewish geography. What do you call that? Like, 'cause
what
it's like the
this is oh god yeah. I mean,
right? That is the Korean
this
geography.
is
I
the
don't know.
Korean geography.
And
Yeah,
like,
this is like
is there a phrase? There has to be a phrase. I know
I
there's a
there
phrase.
I mean there it's everyone knows it exists though. Like it's like the Korean whisper network
Yeah, there
basically.
you go.
It's
There you
like
go. Right.
yeah, it's like
Mhm.
it's
My
it's
son
the
knows your brother's cousin, and we're
yeah,
gonna get
exactly.
good
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then like, oh yeah, they both do this thing. Have no context, like no further context.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And then so through Janet, then I met Anton, because Janet and Anton naturally like, talk about work a lot because they're both in literary translation. And then I got introduced to Anton, and then Anton came to Montreal in May of in no late April 2024 for a literary festival here. And he basically said like, and that was and that was when he offered to introduce me to his agent, because his
No way.
agent,
I would hang up the phone on you.
I know.
Just go away. I'm like,
It's like,
I'm so happy for you.
why are
Great.
things just working out?
No,
It's like,
but I am like, I'm sincerely happy. I'm not like that, but I'm like, damn, that actually, I hear stories like this all the time. Literally, I'm friends with a very big agent. My work is not her taste at all. Right. So there's like nothing you can, she like wishes me the best, but like, oh yeah, my brother, blah, blah, blah. I love that.
yeah,
I
I
love
know.
that it happens. I love that that happens because I also think if you didn't have the talent, it wouldn't matter.
Right. I mean,
I mean,
I
you could
think I
meet
think
them, but it would nothing would come of it. It'd be like, oh, it's that guy,
right. But I think also it's the fact that, like, I think I attribute it more to the fact that, like, there was something of me that I had done.
Or maybe you finally
Yeah,
figured
exactly.
out who you were instead of wearing
Right.
all your
So
mask and trying to please and be everything for everyone. You're like, no, this is me. And then the world showed up and met you.
yeah, I also like to think of it as that, right? Like, I think, like I said, this book was my therapy book, and this was the book that I sort of like used to figure myself out. And then by the end of it, I felt like by the not by the end of it, by like the third rewrite, I realized, oh yeah, like this is like things are making more sense to me now, like who I am in this
So are you
world.
going to stay in this genre? Can I ask that? Like, if you don't you don't want to jinx your work, so you're not going to like talk about it. So like, I'm so curious, is your next work of fiction similar or is it different?
It's it's similar in the way that, like, it also features North and South Korea. It also features political intrigue,
Hmm.
but it's a lot more. I'll give you a hint. And it's for you and for the listeners of this podcast. It's about a future scenario where reunification happens. Yeah.
Person by person.
And oh no, it's like but well, basically
I'm
what
teasing you.
happens,
Yeah, yeah.
I know. But it's like, but it's like an imagined reunification scenario that I've sort of like considered many times. It's basically a situation where something happens in the north and the regime just collapses overnight, and then what happens after that? Who takes care of all these people? Who takes the land? Who takes, like, who
So
gets to
OnlyFans gets into North Korea, it totally collapses.
it's the
Your old PR skit comes through
it's like
and you become Mecca. I love it.
it's like we and then we build only Korea.
So glad you have a sense of humor. Thank you for rolling with me. I could have really offended you if I wasn't like, fuck that. I mean, especially with the utter popularity of so much and the beauty standards of Korea, right? That could totally happen. I think you're actually onto something, and maybe the government is listening and they're
Yeah, it's
like
just
be
like they're
worried.
taking notes. It's just like, oh, whoa, that's actually pretty good. It's like, can
Okay,
we do this?
I'm like I'm so pleased with that idea. I might write that one. That might be a short
Oh, for
story.
sure. Yeah.
I hope no one gets mad. Everyone knows I'm obsessed with Korea. But Michael, I have a real question about translations,
Yeah, of
and then
course.
like I
Yeah.
know we have to wrap up soon because like I
Yeah, of
could talk
course.
to you all day. But
No worries.
so my thing is like even when I watch Korean shows, I wonder why they don't include honorifics or titles in the translations, because I think it actually would help a lot of people who aren't Korean to understand the culture in a way that they can't because they're never given it.
Wait, say that again?
I want to know, like in translations, like why isn't like honorifics part of like what we read?
Oh, okay, I see.
Because like I think it would help understand the culture, right?
Yeah.
Because there's rules and regulations, and when do you say and when do you don't, and how do you da da da, da all of that. I think it's fast. Like for me, it's part of what like intrigued me when I first started learning about it, and when I was watching a show and watching the translation. When I started studying Korean, I was like, that's not what they said. That's not really right.
Yes. So I think it's a part of it's partly translation philosophy, and it's partly like, how we like how like the end, sort of like, the so in this case, the publisher at the end, right? Like
Mhm.
the English publisher wants it to be, right? So first of all, the translation philosophies differ in terms of like, do we want to localize or do we want to express like what the original text is really
Mm,
meaning? So, for instance, if we want to localize, then we cannot have the honorifics because there are no honorifics
right.
in that way in the English world. So if we say so, for instance, like 선배님 or 후배, like those kind of things, there's no such thing. So you just have to sort of then we kind of have to say like, well, if we localize this, then it's about the feeling. So the feeling
Uh,
has to be that I respect you instead of saying 선배님.
do you
So
actually think it would take away if they actually put those words in, though? Like, I just think those words need to be in there.
so so I think more and more people are now coming around to this because the word 선배 is a lot more known now.
Mm.
And I think it really establishes the context much more much faster and much simpler. But I think it's all about also like readability, right? Like if the word 선배 is in there, is it going to break the rhythm because
No.
someone has to like look it up or something? I know.
Like, no.
Like yeah, I know, right?
Holly's
It,
emphatic about that. You should see my face if you're not watching the video. I got mad again. I was like, no, it doesn't. It's like I'm expecting you to, oh, I don't know, read. Like, it's not hard. It's not a
yeah,
word. It's not a
look it up,
thing.
right? Like just look it up. But I think
Now being
it's the
Korean, I'm like, no, forget
yeah,
it.
exactly. But it's that that's another part of translation philosophy, which is like, do we want the reading experience to be one where people constantly have to look up words? And in all honesty, that's something that I had to deal with Oxford Soju Club, right? Like I just basically thought like, well, if I just say this in Korean, they'll just look it up. Or like, I'm sure people know this word, but no, a lot of people were like, you have. There were a lot of like reader reviews that said, yeah, it seems like you have to really know Korean culture to understand everything. I'm like, but those were
I was
really
surprised.
simple search.
It was not a hard search anyway, but then
Yeah,
again, I knew a lot, most, I think,
right,
okay, maybe all of it. But my thing is like, I was surprised that maybe your publisher didn't include a glossary. Like they could have done that next to imprint,
right, of
right? Like
course.
they can have a thing. Again, I don't remember if I said this while we were recording or not. Like I asked you for everyone's name written in Hangul because I know I struggle with pronunciation and I find romanization of Korean weird. Like I think they add letters, right? And I'm just busy trying to like say it the correct way. So I like to find that authenticity, I guess would be the right word. I'm like,
Right,
if
yeah,
I need to find if like I know in most of the world everyone knows oppa, right? Like because it got to be a thing. But how hard was that to learn? You learn that in a half a second, right? Like you can learn the rest. No, like you can figure it out. And I really do, for me, in my experience, adds a layer. And it also like part of why I got fascinated with Korea was because I was locked down, it was COVID, and a Korean show showed up, and I was done with BBC TV. Right? I was like, I need an escape that takes me out of this world, and I know nothing. I realized how ignorant I was as an American, never really learning much. And I was a history minor, by the way. I got to tell you, I read a lot of history, but it didn't really go to Asia at all. And then when I started, I watched a really bad one too. It was like 100 Days My Prince. I mean, it's not very good. But for me, it was historical fiction, and I love historical fiction. So then I was like, oh, what's his hat? It's a guy. And what's this piece of clothing? And what does it represent? And does color matter? And what part of history was that? What year is that for me? And what year is that for my family's history? And like, for me, the world opened in a way that I had so much to devour. And like, I don't know why I'm not better at the language. I've been listening to it for 5 years, but listening and speaking are utterly different. But I think if we, I don't know, ask people to rise up a little bit instead of go low, the world goes low a lot. Like if
yeah.
well, I'm not going to go there, but if it goes low, so if I would love to, like one day you be able to publish maybe a second edition of it with it, or when you're even doing your translations, because it helps tell the story. Because all those books that you've been translating that, or the books that you've recommended, don't think that I'm not going and looking up all those things I just said. Well, what was happening in this and what were they wearing? What was that? Or even yesterday, whenever everyone else is listening to it, it was in August when everyone's K-pop demon hunter crazy. It's almost Halloween. I bet you're all getting their costumes ready too.
Right, yeah.
But like when you explain the singers and the groups in the past, like I love that. I love that kind of stuff. I think it brings people closer.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that's why, like, I do sometimes, those, like, Korean content commentary where, like, "Did you notice this? Did you see that?"
Yeah.
Or, like, "Did you know this about, like, the historical aspect of this?" And because, like, knowing more about those elements really elevate your experience of that
Yeah.
content or whatever it is in whatever media, form. Um, and I think people are now more open to it. Before too, like publishers, because they're the ones that get a final say,
Mm.
they'll be like, "Hey, can we not have all this meme everywhere?"
Yes. No.
Or all this like it's really taking it out. Like it should read very it should read butter smooth. It should read like it was written in English from the
I get
start.
it. I get it. I'll
Yeah,
give them that. I'll give them that, but I
yeah,
would still prefer I would love 2 versions. I would love,
yeah.
like but that's
Exactly.
me.
So
And I'm
so I
not
think
exactly the norm, I'm just
yeah.
saying, but still.
So I think like there's that two sides that a lot of translators just have to sort of reconcile with. I know that Anton also we've talked about this too, but like if possible, push the Korean version of it.
Yeah.
Like if possible, because people can look it up. Like people can look it up and when it just sounds a lot more authentic. And it's just really about like how you translate around it too. Like if you the really good translators, what they do is they make it sound like it was written in English, but they keep all the
Yeah.
cultural elements in, and they make it super easy to understand. And if we need a footnote, let's have a footnote, right? Like it's a tiny space under this page. So
It's not hard.
yeah, so
I
yeah,
think everyone like, I think also readers are different, like, people who take the time to read whatever. I think I don't know, give us a little credit. Like, I think you give your reader a lot of credit. You're not
Mm.
dumbing down anything. So,
No, yeah,
okay, so I was gonna, fight you today, but I'm gonna wait for your next book to come and make you come back and
of
talk to
course,
me more because I have, like,
yeah, of
17
course.
more cards of things I could have a conversation with, and I don't wanna scare you because you said the craziest thing, you're like, "If you're going to Korea, I don't start in Seoul." I'm like, "Nah, man, start in Seoul, get addicted, just keep coming back."
Well, yeah, I would say Seoul is a great place to start,
Start.
but
Yeah, for
then
sure.
but then just try to go elsewhere
I've been all
after that.
over.
Like, yeah,
Like, I've even been
exactly.
to a
Yeah.
pension in Daejeon. Like, I've been the
Yeah, there we
only
go.
white girl.
Yeah.
Like, I love being the stranger in a strange land. I feel at home there. It's just like your whole full circle moment, right? Like, I have no business feeling at home there. I really don't, but
Mhm.
I do. So I'm don't know what past awesome life I had in Korea, but it was good because if it was less than 10 hours away, I'd be there all the time. And my man Candy
Yeah.
is always like, "Am I coming with you next time?" And I'm always like, no, man, it's my it's my city with my friends. I
This is my sanctuary.
it is because there's art and culture and it's just so
Yeah.
very different from where I'm at. So anyone who's curious by why I'm so curious, I'm not a Koreaboo. I like to say that it's not that. That's kind of not my thing, but I am grateful that I had the chance to learn about something I didn't know and that it speaks to me. So as your writing does. So drum roll, it is the end of the Holly Hughes podcast. And do you know if you came with a warning label, what would it be?
Oh yeah, I think I told you this already, but like I would say gets worked up at the smallest things. I would I think one of the things my partner tells me is like you take like the tiniest details and then you just really, really amp up. Like it could be a positive thing or it could be a negative thing. Like it could be a negative thing if someone because I ride my bike everywhere.
Ooh.
If someone was too slow on the bike lane, then I'll be like, you know what? They should have speed cameras on the bike lane, and then they should have it, and then they should like frequently like ticket you for going too slow. I was just blah 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 blah, and then like at some point, everyone around me has just tuned out. But I'm just constant. I'm just going. I'm just like, yeah, 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 yeah. Bike path.
You would fit in well with my family is all I'm saying. So I would one day hope to see you at a book conference of some kind and
Course,
meet your
yes, of
partner
course,
and meet you in
yeah.
person. But that is something I live kind of in the country and there's 2-lane roads and I can't stand it when the cyclists come out and there's no bike lane or space and they're during rush hour. It makes
Right.
me
Yeah.
what I'm like, you're jamming so many people up, and all I ever think is in those spandex, I just want to slap all their asses on the way there. It's just like,
I
uh,
just, oh my God, like the spandex too. Like I'm just like, hey, like, do you like why do you have this expensive spandex? Do you think you're on Tour de France? Like I think there should be a requirement that says like you have to have like like you have to have achieved some like speed or something like that for you to be able to earn this spandex.
I'm like, okay, that's it. That's the quote of the
That's it, right?
day. You have
That's
to
it. I'm
earn
just
your
like,
spandex.
we're just like I'm just like amped up about spandex, and like that's the thing.
I know what to get you for your birthday next year.
Oh my
Nice
God,
padded bike shorts. I
my God.
will go send it to your agent so I'm not a stalker if I know where you live.
I'm just gonna be like, well, I guess I gotta be one of them now.
You got it. I think you need to bring your humor into your social media. You're very serious in your social media.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I understand
fucking
that. Yeah.
funny. Like it's been
Thank
raining
you.
for days. I have not laughed this hard, and I can't tell you how long. And you're just cracking me up. That's even like that's like a gift for me today. So thank you.
Yeah.
So
I will.
tell
Yeah.
everyone where you want them to find you and your book.
Yeah, of course. Well, you can obviously find me at Jinwoo Park 0721 on TikTok, as well as Instagram and YouTube, as well as jinwoo-park.com, and that's my website, and that's also my Blue Sky handle. And you can find my book if you're in Canada, in Indigo, as well as like any any local indie bookstore, I hope. And in Canada, it comes out on September 2nd, my debut novel, Oxford Soju Club. In the US, it comes out in September 30th.
I'm on
And
I'm on order. I'm on order.
yeah, and it comes out, anywhere, Barnes and Noble, like
Indie bookstores will get it too.
Amazon.
They can
Yeah,
order it.
also,
Everyone,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a place called
Books a Million. That one.
no, bookshop.org. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
bookshop.org. They do like indie bookstore pre-orders and sales, so that's always great too. And I'll be also on tour
Ooh,
across North America in September and October and November, actually.
are you?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, are you coming to the South? Are you too afraid?
I'm not sure.
Don't
I
believe the
know
propaganda, please.
it's
It's not like
really
that.
Yeah, I think it's really more like it's costly to go to places.
That's
So
true.
I'm like stopping by places where I have a friend, I have a close friend that I could
Okay.
stay with. And it just happens to be that like I don't know anybody like below
Hey, now you
DC.
do. Now you
Yeah,
do.
now I do.
Now
So
you do.
now I
Southern
can sort of
hospitality. The door is
exactly.
open. We've got space.
Now I know. But like yeah, it was just like, oh my God, like I am that university. Like I have been in academia way too long that like everyone's in New York, because everyone's, just like
Eh,
chasing white collar jobs and like university positions. It's like
it's
that
awful.
sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, no, definitely. I hope to also get out there. I love meeting people who have read my book, especially. And I mean, like people say all the time, like these days, about the whole like what's happening at the border and stuff like that. But I also understand that like most people, they just like we just want to like have a good life and meet good
And
people and
connect.
be kind to each other, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what we're about, and that's what I want. I want
Unless you're in
this also.
spandex and we're slapping your ass.
Okay, then okay, then we have some beef. Uh, the spandex gang, man. Yeah, yeah. So I'll be posting those tour dates soon as well, because it's been a heck of a time trying to find a schedule and
Well,
venues
if
that
you
work.
need help
Yeah.
connecting with anyone, I have friends across the
Hmm.
world, like literally. So offline,
Awesome. Yes.
anything I can help like promote and encourage you and let your little continued light of luck go kick some
Thank you
ass.
so much. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone. Go be creative.
Amazing.